Christy Bursby. I wanted to send out in a video to the Schoology group about something that we didn't really address during either session. During the first session, we didn't really talk about calendars at all. And during the second session, we talked about them a little bit, but I don't think that we gave you the full picture of everything that that tool can do. So I was just going to do a little walkthrough video because based on questions that I've been getting from different staff members to talk to you about how you actually get your information to populate within the calendar so that your calendar will look something similar to this calendar where you have something basically showing up every day. This is my overall calendar here where I get to see all of my classes at the same time. But you can also view it individually by the courses. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to walk you through adding something to your calendar so that you can get it to show up on a daily basis. Okay, I usually start with my Mods 1-2 class just because that's the place I like to plan. And then what I do is I copy it over to the other sections. And so I'll show you how to do all of that. Okay, this is just a hypothetical assignment that I'm going to be adding here. This isn't an actual assignment for my class, but you're going to be able to get to the idea of what to do. Okay, so some people were asking me about how they could take their daily agendas. And from what the descriptions were that I was hearing, it seemed like maybe there was a unit that different people had that they then put daily agendas into, kind of like these folders. My folders are organized by like area of my class, but some people were using like unit folders or like this is for this week or that week or whatever. Okay, however you have it organized is fine. You can still set it up this way. And there's like a bunch of different ways to do anything that you're trying to do. So if you don't like the way that I'm going to show you here and you want to still try to do this, either try to figure it out or come see me. I'm in A102 and I'd be happy to help anybody who needs additional help. All right, so this is how you do it. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to add an assignment. Okay, when you add an assignment, it doesn't necessarily actually mean that you have to have the kids turning something in. Okay, it just means that you're adding something that's going to show up in your calendar. So you're going to go ahead and add an assignment. Okay, and this will pop up here. Now, if you want to do it from your Google Drive, you can absolutely do that. You can sync it up with the assignment from within your Google Drive. I tend not to do that because I don't like the results that I get back when the kids turn the assignments into me, or sometimes I don't want them to have a copy of whatever it is we're doing because it's either unnecessary or whatever. So I'm going to show you kind of how I typically do it on a daily basis. So some people were talking about having daily agendas. So I'm going to jump to another window. Okay, this is my hypothetical agenda that I kind of threw together here. So I'm just going to take this because I'm assuming that a lot of you already have something similar to this set up. I'm going to copy this information over that I already have. And then I'm going to come back to the assignment. And I'm just going to paste this in the description. Okay, then I'm going to title it something like Daily Agenda 1/16/2020. Okay, and then obviously you'd put whatever date is appropriate. Okay, what you want to do, and this is the part that's important to getting it in the calendar, you need to make sure that it shows up with the due date. So I'm going to open up my calendar here. I want this to show up on the 16th because that's the date that I put here. If you have an assignment you're going to have them turn in, you would want to have this clock indicate what time the assignment is due. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter if this is filled in or not. This is the default that comes up. I usually just leave it as that. Okay, and then for this day, I don't want them to actually turn anything in, so I'm going to just get rid of the points because they're unnecessary. Now with this, if you want this to be an assignment where they actually submit something, you would want them to have, submit it and then you grade it. My categories are ungraded and graded. The graded category is something that I created as a new grading category. You can create whatever categories that you want. I just like to keep it simple with ungraded and graded. Since they're not turning anything in for this hypothetical assignment, I'm going to keep this ungraded, which means that when I sync it up to my Infinite Campus gradebook, the assignment will not come over because this is just a daily agenda. There's nothing to evaluate. And as long as it says ungraded here, then it won't sync over. Okay, if I did want to have it sync over and I did want to grade something, I would need to change it to graded. Otherwise, it will not sync with Infinite Campus. So you want to keep that in mind. If you're having trouble getting it to sync, this is probably the problem that you're having. And that's true of like all assignments, not just what we're practicing right here. Okay, so then I make sure that it's in the right quarter, everything is good there. Now for this practice one, I don't want them to submit anything, so I'm gonna eliminate the submissions enabled. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I do want the kids to be able to see it, so I'm gonna keep that green. This isn't relevant right now. This one I always turn off. This allows the kids to have like a place to comment on your assignments. I don't really love the idea of that because a lot of times it's just like silly nonsense. And if they have a real question, they're going to either send you a private message through Schoology or email you or whatever. So I always shut this off. Okay. This, of course, is going to allow you to copy it over to your courses. So if I have multiple sections of this, I would turn that on and do that. And I'll show you that here in a second. Now, as far as my daily agenda goes, I have 3 things on here. I want the kids to reflect on a paper. I want them to select book groups, and then I want them to study for their vocab quiz tomorrow. Each of these things I have a supporting piece of information that I want to include. So what I need to do is I need to link it. Okay, so the first one is the paper reflection, and I open that up in advance, and it's right here. Okay, so what I need to do, this is a Google form, is I need to share it with the kids. And so I need to pick up the link for this, okay, which I'm doing. And then I need to bring it over here, and then I need to attach it to my assignment, okay? And again, I'm not actually collecting an assignment here. That's just what they call it, and this is a place for me to link everything together and organize it, okay? So then I hit this link button, I paste my website in there, and then I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call this one paper review. Actually, I think that this is not the paper review. This is a different Google form, but you're going to get the idea because even though it doesn't quite match, it's still linked to it, which is the point. Okay, so I've attached that, and that's now there. Now, the second thing that I have is I want them to come up with their book club groups, okay? And so this is something that I want to have going with that. So I take this Google Doc, I hit this share button, I copy this link, okay? And then I bring it back over and I link it just the same as I did before. Okay, so I insert the link and then I name it and then I attach it. Okay, and then this last thing is I want them to study for vocab tomorrow. So I have these Quizlets together. I'm going to copy the link from that. There's some flashcards, and so then I bring it back and I do the same thing. Okay, and I'm sure you know there's multiple kinds of files that you can attach. You can upload a PDF or a file directly. There's, of course, like audio recordings. There's resources and things you could pull from your actual resource drive. I like to just keep it simple with the links. And again, multiple ways to do everything, so do what works for you. Okay, so I have this all set up. Then I would want to copy it over to my other courses, okay? So I would click the ones that I want to have it go to, and then it would move all of this information over. Please be mindful when you do these assignments, when you create an assignment, if you don't do this step where it copies it over right away, and my courses are not linked, that's important to know. If my courses are linked, then this step is unnecessary. But mine are not linked, so I have to copy it over. Once you're only able to do this the very first time that you set the assignment up. After that point, you're going to have to go under the gear wheel and go copy to course. Otherwise, this little clipboard thing won't be available, so that's only available the first time. Okay, so I'd pick those, and then my assignment's all set up, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit create. Okay, and so they put it all together for me, and so if I look here, on the calendar, it says daily agenda for 1/16/20. Okay, and if I click on the calendar icon here, this will pop up, and I look on the 16th, and it says daily agenda for 1/16/20. Okay, and you can call it whatever you want. If you think it's redundant to put the date in the title because it's already on the calendar, then call it whatever you want. Okay, but when you click on this, then the daily agenda will show up. But in addition to that, if you view the item, all the links for the supporting materials that you need are also connected to the daily agenda. This is great if kids are absent and they need to do makeup homework or they need an assignment here, because you have everything all in the same place. And then in addition to that, it's populating your calendar for you right away. So at a glance, they can see, like, this is what's coming up. Oh, wait, we have a big vocab quiz at the end of the week or whatever. Okay, I think that this is a really great way to set things up for your calendar, and it's worth the time, I think, to set up that assignment when you have things due. I personally do not use a daily agenda in that way, but that was what a lot of people were talking about, and I wanted to give you an example. I actually just put the assignments individually under that day. So like if I have something due that day, it will pop up, and then if there's anything that goes with it, there'll be a link to it inside, like there is with this one, and then I grade it accordingly. And then this I would then sync over to Infinite Campus. And it seems to be a pretty good system. I've been using it for a few years, and I wanted to share it with you so that you could figure out what works for you based on whatever your needs are. So if you need help with this, again, I'm in A102. I'd be happy to help anybody who's trying to learn more about Schoology, and just let me know. Okay, great. Have a great day.